Hey everyone, Carl with Littleroot Lessons bringing you a deep dive featuring Yveltal. This is one of my favorite restricteds probably in the entire format, just mainly because I really loved Pokemon X and Y. This is actually what brought me back into playing Pokemon just in general after a very long hiatus from Gen 3. So Yveltal is near and dear to my heart and one of my favorite Pokemon in the game. So no one really suggested another restricted, so I figured I would cover my favorite one, and let's just hop right into it here. So Yveltal's roles are kind of blurred. It's very flexible and powerful, but there's a catch to it because it's a very high ceiling. When I say high ceiling, it means there's a lot of play to it. There's a lot of things it can do, and it does a lot of things really well. But if you don't play it correctly, you end up not doing well with it at all, and kind of just get punished. The main draw, though, is it is a very high damage output Pokemon, and has access to good bulk and good utility moves like Snarl and Tailwind, and Dark Aura is essentially a Life Orb boost to your Dark type attacks on Yveltal, so you don't have to play a damage boosting item like Life Orb or Expert Belt or anything like, or Black Glasses or anything like that. And if you do, you get even more of a boost than you already would. However, Dark Aura also affects your opponent's Dark type attacks, so you have to be careful for that. A lot of the times you don't like to run Psychic types on Ghost types on your team because your opponent gets boosts against those when you're attacking with Dark type attacks. However, it hasn't really been popularized yet as a good Pokemon. I believe Joe UX9 in the Players Cup 4. This is the first competitive Yveltal team we've seen, which in turn is more of a colossal team with Yveltal on it, because Yveltal doesn't really do a whole lot on that team besides be a ground immunity and snarl people probably, which we'll get to see more of that next weekend when we see a lot of the coverage for it. No one's really gotten to see Joe's team played yet, but it was very popular in the GS Cup format, which was the format people thought was the next step for the Pokemon Company. But instead we ended up getting Series 8, which is one restricted. GS Cup was a double restricted format, so it had a lot of good pairings with the other restricted since it was more of a utility style, bulky attacker set. Tailwind, Snarl, things like that. However, Series 8 means it doesn't see a whole lot of play. It's not a good, solid restricted mon like Zacian, Kyogre, and Groudon are. It gets beat up with a lot of the format. Calyrex Ice and Glacial Lance beats it up. Kyogre runs Thunder and Ice Beam. Groudon has Rock Slide. Zacian can play rough. Sacred Sword and Close Combat are technically neutral damage, and Zacian hits like a truck. However, Yveltal made it to a 6% usage rate, which is about 6th, which is not terrible, but again, it's Zacian's 25%. Kyogre and Groudon are in the 10s and teens, so seeing a 6 is kind of whatever. Common partners for Yveltal tend to be more on the physical side because Yveltal does a very good job of being a special attacker and just being a wall. Yveltal likes having access to Intimidate, so Pokemon like Landorus T and Incineroar are very popular with it. And since Yveltal is immune to ground, it also pairs well with Pokemon that are weak to ground, like Metagross, Regieleki, Tyranitar, and Incineroar in general. And also likes being paired with other dark types. Pokemon with dark type coverage or just stab dark type like Tyranitar or Incineroar are very, very powerful. Being able to just double Snarl, or in the case of Tyranitar, being able to lash out with a double boosted lash out is probably going to echo a lot of the format. For common moves and items, there's a lot of moves that Yveltal uses, but Oblivion Wing is going to be on every single one of them. For those that may not know, Oblivion Wing is the signature move for Yveltal, and it heals you for 3/4 the damage dealt, which is insane. That kind of recovery is nonsense on a move on a legendary Pokemon. Outside of Oblivion Wing, the movesets kind of tend to differ. There's Dark Pulse, and Snarl, Sucker Punch, Foul Play. There's sets that run Heat Wave because they want to be able to hit Steel types and Ice types effectively. Protect is a common a fourth move for Life Orb sets or Weakness Policy sets. Tailwind, though, doesn't pop up that often. It's probably in the like very low 2 or 3%, because a lot of the time you're Dynamaxing this Pokemon. This is a Dynamax target. This is a end game, I'm going to Dynamax now I can take over the game, where you max Airstream instead of having to set Tailwind. So if you really need the Tailwind and you want to do something like that with Yveltal, you can play Tailwind and it'd probably be fine. But a lot of the times they either are Assault Vest and they don't have spots for it, or they are like a Weakness Policy or a Life Orb set and they rather have the Protect for when they're not in Dynamax. Black Glasses here is on here as it's a niche case. It's like if Life Orb's gone and Assault Vest is gone and Weakness Policy is gone and you really need an item for it, Black Glasses is the best option. Giving a 1.2 boost on top of the 1.33 boost from Dark Aura is pretty good. And those sets that usually run Black Glasses run all Dark type attacks anyway. Speaking of sets, the first 3 here are very common, very standard, normal what you see, normal run-of-the-mill sets. The Assault Vest set is supposed to be super bulky and fast at the same time, getting fast Snarls, fast foul plays, having Oblivion Wing to heal back up, and Sucker Punch to just pick up KOs where you can. The Weakness Policy set's a little bit more of a Dynamax only kind of Pokemon. Your goal is to Dynamax, have your policy procced either by your own things like Comfey or Raichu, or by your opponent, and use your 131 base special attack stat to just annihilate them with max Airstream, max Darkness, and max Flare. The last set here is a Black Glasses set, which is all Dark moves and Protect. Snarl, Sucker Punch, Dark Pulse, these are all standard Dark type moves. You could argue to run Foul Play over Dark Pulse, but this set really wanted a just be special attacker because you are timid, so Sucker Punch gets a little bit weaker, Dark Pulse gets a little bit better, and you're also not just like not having to worry about your opponent's attacking stat a lot because you can intimidate them. These next 2 sets are much more fringe cases. The first one is designed to survive Play Rough from a neutralization. So that means after you've intimidated it and it goes back to neutral, you can survive Stab Play Rough, which is really important. And then this is also a physical set, so you have things like Sucker Punch, but you also have Dual Wing Beat and Steel Wing. So Dual Wing Beat's cool because it's a tutor move from the Isle of Armor, and Dual Wing Beat actually KOs Koba Berry Venusaur. So this is actually a very good set against the Sunset, because it's just like, oh, you're going to try to Sleep Powder me. Well, I outspeed you by 1. I'm a 146 speed, and I get to Dual Wing Beat you, and I get to take out your Koba Berry and then take you out after that. So if you can deal with the weather, this set deals with Venusaur very, very well. The other set here is a much bulkier set, designed to tank a couple hits, set up Tailwind, set Taunt, prevent Trick Room, help your team go faster. This is more of the support-oriented Yveltal with Citrus Berry. Snarl, Oblivion Wing just to be annoying, Tailwind, and Taunt. The goal just being be annoying, use your team to your advantage, and make Yveltal just be a very good support mon. Yveltal has this synergy thing where it fits in a lot of spots. Dark Flying is actually a very good typing. It just requires a little bit of tweaking to where Yveltal actually does something well. Any place you would play Galarian Moltres, you could probably play Yveltal, depending on what you want your restricted to be. But it requires a little bit more work than just saying slapping a Zacian on. But outside of that, you always want to be able to abuse Yveltal's good bulk and high damage output. Things like Intimidate, Snarl on screens help Yveltal survive longer, while being able to deal more damage in the long run. And having things that resist and or are immune to Yveltal's weaknesses helps a ton. Things like Steel types and Ground types. The big caveat here is if you're playing Landorus, avoid the double ice. Try to mitigate the double ice weakness by having like a Fire type, like a Rotom Heat's really good, and things like that. Beating up Yveltal is a little bit easier than probably playing with Yveltal. It doesn't do a lot on its own. It requires a lot of support. It'll sit there and snarl you, but if you have a physical attacker, it's not going to do a whole lot. If you have any kind of good special, like super effective hits on it, you could probably blow it up. A lot of them are running Assault Vest, so any kind of physical damage dealer like a Metagross or Solgaleo, something that's not going to get blown up in one go, but has its policy proc, can probably OHKO Yveltal pretty easily. As long as it's not Dynamaxed, because Dynamax Yveltal is actually nigh unkillable. It is very hard to OHKO a Dynamax Yveltal. So you gotta be super wary of that. If that thing Dynamaxes in front of you, try to survive long enough to where the Dynamax runs out, chip away at it, and then you can take it out after its Dynamax is done. And just outspeeding it, which is, it sounds hard because it has access to Tailwind and Max Airstream, but it is a base 99 speed Pokemon, which anything over 100, you're going to outspeed it if you go 252 plus nature. So things like Regigigas blow it up pretty easily. You can just Max Hailstorm into Yveltal, and its Dark Aura boosted isn't going to do anything. It has a hard time beating Regigigas in general. Other Pokemon that I think about off the top of my head, Wildfire from Charizard is very good against Yveltal because it's just extra chip damage. And Oblivion Wings, it's one way of recovery, and it's not very good against Charizard, and things like that. So wrapping up with Yveltal here, it's a very good support style. It's restricted. Like, if you need something that's not all damage and has a little bit of utility, Yveltal fits onto that team pretty well. But it can't carry the team on its own. It's not a Zacian where you can just have it come in and take damage and blow things up. This definitely is I need to set up around you, I need to mitigate damage, I need to sit here and click Snarl, intimidate them, and do things like that. Get Yveltal into position where it can actually take over a game. On the flip side of that, outspeeding Yveltal can help you get ahead of it, using your own Max Airstreams or Tailwind, or setting Trick Room to underspeed, where you underspeed it and then blow it up with Calyrex Ice or things like that. Can definitely let you beat up Dynamax Yveltal as well. Outside of that, Yveltal relies heavily on the rest of the team, so being prepared for the rest of the team and not tunnel visioning on how am I going to beat Yveltal can go a long way. Being able to beat its support like Landorus, like Metagross, because those are usually the Dynamax targets on the team. Yveltal is more of a Snarl support-oriented Pokemon and likes to sit there and just be a distraction. So being able to deal with the rest of the team is going to go a long way. Well, that about does it for this week's episode. I kind of rushed through it here. Yveltal is very interesting. It does a lot of things, but it's not something I would recommend for newer players to pick up. But if you liked what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications for when new videos go live. We're on Twitter at LR Lessons for podcast updates. Myself at musical_33, my co-host Carter at Mr. Missouri 25. You can also find us on Twitch at musical and at Mr. Missouri 25 respectively. And make sure you come join the Discord. We have the multi-battle stuff getting ready to go up. I believe signups end for that on April 9th. So if you're interested in bringing a multi-battle draft format into your repertoire of skills, you can definitely come join the Discord. Links down in the description down below. Contact Evan. He's the one running that one. So you can go get signed up for that. But yeah, I want to know down below, who would you like to see me cover next week? I have Regirock lined up for next Wednesday, so I would definitely be interested in hearing who you all want me to cover with Regirock. So have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're in the world, and we will see you all next week. Bye, guys.